Ahmed Iskandar School in Damascus. Welcome to the Syrian educational platform. Today is Sunday, 7th May 2023. Today we're going to start with the grade 12, unit 11, literary section, and the title is Epics. Yes, this is a photo about super epic. We're going to start with the 1001 Nights. So it's a tale. The Arabian Nights, also known as the 1001 Nights, is one of the most famous collections of stories from the Islamic Golden Age, called the Arabian Nights. So it's a collection of stories. It's a group or a lot of stories from the Islamic Gold Age. They are centered around the frame story of the Sultan Shahriyar and his wife Shahrazad. So it talks about the Sultan Shahriyar and his wife Shahrazad. After finding out that his wife is unfaithful, Shahriyar kills her and swears to marry a different woman each night before killing her the following morning. So the first wife of Shahriyar was disloyal or unfaithful, so he swears to marry a woman each night and kill her. This is a photo of the Sultan Shahriyar and his wife Shahrazad. Shahrazad thinks of a plan to stop him. She marries Shahriyar and then she begins to tell him stories that night. So Shahrazad thinks of a plan to change his mind and begins to tell him a story. So what does she do? She tells him a story each night in order not to kill her. However, she stops telling that story at an exciting point to make him eager to hear the rest. When Shahrazad tells Shahriyar the story, she doesn't tell him all the story in one night, but she tells him a section each night and stop at an exciting point of the story to make him eager to read or to listen to the rest. The next evening, she finishes that story and begins telling another one. So, when the first story ends, she also starts with another story. Following the same pattern for 1001 nights and until Shahriyar has a change of heart. So, Shahrazad started to tell him story, and when the first story finishes, she starts with another story. And so during the 1001 nights until she makes her husband change his heart. This is a photo of Shahriyar and Shahrazad and another woman. Since the 18th century, foreign cultures have characterized the epic by different literary responses caused by its vague authorial identity. So, the epic, in the past, the epic was characterized by vague or not clear, unclear identity. As a result of its translation into many languages, the Arabian Nights has been influencing many world literary writers. So, the story of the 1001 Nights was translated into many languages, and it has influenced many literary writers. Critics therefore identified the utilization of its literary techniques such as repetitive designation. So, what did critics talk about this story? They described it as it has repetitive designation, frame story, and dramatic visualization. So this is what critics talked about the story. The Arabian Nights is one of the richest sources for the magical turn in contemporary cultures by using ghosts, jinns, or shape shifting. So it's not only an old story, but it also played a turn or a role in contemporary cultures. So this story has used ghosts, jinns, or shape shifting. Unlike other stories that were published or spread that era. It's seen as a book of exceptional literary values. So it was not only a story, it was seen, or it had been seen like a book of exceptional values. So it's not an ordinary story, but it taught a lot of values. The reception of the Arabian Nights in the world paved the way to better understanding of Arabic literature among the world's arts. And this story paved the way and introduced the Arabic stories and tales to all over the world. In this sense, the Arabian Nights functions as a means of cultural language between East and West, so it also made a connection between East and West. The great significance of the Arabian Nights in literature is indebted to the distinctive use of the narration technique. So, the most important thing, it was said that the most important thing of the story of the Arabian Nights was the narration technique, how it was narrated. It employs different narrative devices that are still utilized in creating fictional works today. And this narrative technique or narration technique was used in that time and also is being used nowadays. Finally, we can say the greatness of the epic stands in the character of the narrator, Shahrazad herself. So, about the story was indebted by the narrator, Shahrazad herself. Now, we're going to do the exercises. Exercise 1, match the definitions below with words in bold in the text. So, we're going to do this exercise, which is about definitions. Number 1, not clear. Not clear means vague. 2, to use something especially for a practical purpose. Utilize. Utilize means to use something for practical or purpose. 3, grateful to someone for his or her help. When you are grateful or thankful for someone, so you are indebted. 4, a book or a poem that tells a long story about brave actions. Epic. So epic, it's not only a story, it's a long story and tells about hero or heroine. 5, to promise that you will do something means to swear. And 6, belonging to the same times means contemporary, so it's in the same times. Question 2, choose A, B, or C to complete the following statements about the text. 1, the protagonist. What does protagonist mean? Protagonist means hero or heroine. In the Arabian Nights who is the most important protagonist in the story. Is he Shahriyar, Shahrazad, or Jinn? So, as we have just mentioned in the last text or passage, it was Shahrazad. 2, the reason for killing women in the Arabian Nights is, so what was the reason that Shahrazad, or Shahriyar, killed or had the desire to kill the women? Is it, or was it loyalty, faithfulness, or unfaithfulness? So it was unfaithfulness. It means disloyalty. Now, the Arabian Nights has been many or affecting, imitating, or attracting many world literary works, so it has been affecting or influencing other works. 4. The Arabian Nights is seen as a book of normal, ordinary, or outstanding literary values. It's a book of outstanding. Outstanding means very wonderful or very exceptional values. Number 5. The devices used in the Arabian Nights are useless, useful, or unsuitable. For later writers, they were surely useful devices. Now we're going to move to the vocabulary section, which is about literary terms. Match the following words with their meaning, with their definitions or meanings. We have these 5 words, which are prose, satire, metaphor, plot, and climax. We have to match them with their meanings. Number 1, prose. What is prose? Prose is writing that's not poetry. Okay? When you have writing that's not poetry, and when you are free of restrictions of the matter. 2, satire. Satire is a way of criticizing a person or an idea when you criticize someone or something. Metaphor is the using of a word or phrase not as used normally. When you use word or phrase when you describe something in a different way. Plot, it's the series of events that form a story. So a group or series of events that form a story at the end. And the climax, it's the most exciting or important event or point on time. So the most exciting point of a story. Now another exercise. Use the words in exercise A to complete the following sentences. So these words that were used. So these words that we used in the vocabulary section are going to be used in this exercise. Number 1, Animal Farm is a novel. So we have here a novel which is Animal Farm. Uses to criticize people. What was the word used to criticize people? It is satire. 2, when a tragedy reaches its climax, the audience ought to face a solution. So when a tragedy, so the tragedy is a story when reaches its climax means the top of events. The audience ought to face a solution. Okay. 3, prose is a literary genre that releases writers from the restrictions of matter. So it's a kind of poetry. Okay, it's a type of poetry, but it's free of the restrictions of or limits of matter. Number 4, ancient Greek epics used many plots to create more interesting stories. So in ancient Greece, the writers or the maybe the authors used many plots, not only one plot in their stories, but many plots to create more interesting stories. 5, Heart of Gold and a Shining Star are 2 examples of metaphor. Metaphor, when you like here, Heart of Gold, the gold doesn't have a heart actually, but it is a metaphor. Now we're going to move to the everyday English section, which is about being tactful, gentle person when you are respectful, polite, and have good behaviors in society and know how to respect others. We sometimes soften a message by using particular words or phrases, like, so when somebody comes and tells you something, okay, and you have to give your opinion, so you should use you should use polite words, okay, like past form. We were planning to go to the cinema tomorrow. So this form you have to choose one of these forms, like you can use the past form. Example, we were planning to go to the cinema tomorrow. So if your friend comes and tells you that he or she is coming to visit you tomorrow and you want to apologize from him or from her, you will not say, don't visit me, okay? Honestly, you will not say it frankly, don't visit me. No, you have to apologize in a polite way, like, sorry, we were planning to go to the cinema tomorrow. So here the past form is used. Also, you can use the modal. Example, it could have been a bit hotter. Another example, I'd go for black instead if I were you. If your friend comes and asks you, and she is wearing black suit, okay, yes, black dress, for example, and you don't like it on her, what do you say? So you will not say, or you will not tell her it's ugly, okay, or it's not beautiful. You can say, I'd go for black instead if I were you. So I have to persuade her to change her clothes, but politely. Also, we have another way which is not sounding negative. I think darker color suit you better. So, if your friend or your sister or anyone else is wearing bright colors, okay, and you don't like this, you can't say, I don't like this, just like that. You can say, I think dark colors suit you better. So you should not be negative person. Also, I have seen better performances, okay? So there are many ways to say it in a polite way. Another way, adverbs of attitude. Honestly, I have heard better singers. Okay, so someone is asking you about your opinion about the singer and you don't like him or her, so you can say, honestly, I have heard better singers, okay? You don't just say, I don't like him, I don't like his voice, okay? Unfortunately, the food was salty, okay? If you are invited to a dinner, if you are invited to, yes, to have breakfast, dinner, etc., and you discovered that the food was too salty, okay? You can say, unfortunately, at first, okay? Example, here we have a short conversation between Sue and Annie. Sue, does this dress look like? So, Sue is asking Annie about her dress, and she says, does this dress look okay? Is it okay? And what does Annie say? Well, I think darker colors. So here, I think darker colors suits you better. Annie doesn't like the dress on Sue, okay? And she tells her that she thinks that darker colors suit her or suit Sue better. I'd go for black instead if I were you. So Annie says to Sue, if I were you, I would choose darker colors or black. So she tells her that, but politely, okay, respectfully. Now, also, we are going to do an exercise about everyday English, how to be tactful. Fill in the gaps 1 to 8 with sentences A to H. Do my legs look fat in these? So here we have like too much between these two lists. Number 1, do my legs look fat in these? Here someone is asking another person. What does the other person say? He says, I think a loser pair would suit you better. 2, honestly, what did you think of my speech? Okay, also someone also asks another person, What did you think of my speech? Very funny. It was sort of interesting at times. So it was interesting at times. 3. What did you think of that article I sent you? So he is or she is asking someone about the article that she sent. Frankly, it could have been a bit more detailed. Here, it could have been we used models in the past. What do you think of my new mobile? What can we say? I have seen better designs. So it looks like it's a modern one, but I have seen better designs. Do you think the music is too loud? It could do with being a bit louder, or I turn it down if I were you. So here in the first sentence we used models. Do you fancy going out? Fancy means imagine. So do you fancy or do you imagine going out for dinner later? Sorry, I was planning to get an early night. So he is apologizing, but politely. What did you think of their new kitchen? I have seen better designs also. So this sentence was repeated twice. You can use it if you like. Did you manage to read my report? Sorry, it was quite short. What does the other person say? It wasn't on the short side. So he's asking him, he's asking him about his report, and the other person says that it wasn't on the short side. This means that it wasn't too short as he first said. This is all for today. Thank you and see you next